this is Dr. Cindy Woody here to support candidates for the TExES 268 Principal as Instructional Leader exam, in particular constructed response item number 4. So if you're preparing for your constructed response section, you're in the right place. So you're going to be looking on this question more at the bird's eye view of problems on the campus. So in the context of this question, you're going to be providing advice to a principal who's facing problems. The problems affect everything. They're barriers to culture and achievement, school culture and student achievement. You're going to be asked to pick the one most important focus for improvement on this campus. And then you're going to be asked to develop a multi-step plan to address the issues that all these data sources are going to show. And the data sources this time, it may seem like a lot, but you'll start to see trends in the data sources so it doesn't feel so overwhelming. So expect to see lots of campus level data here. You're going to see campus improvement plans, student achievement data, behavior reports maybe, stakeholder surveys, needs assessments, note from the superintendent or principal. So expect to see some combination of 4 or 5 of these things. You won't see all of these things obviously, and whatever story problem they make up for you will be different from administration to administration. So just be prepared to see a lot of different kinds of data sources and make yourself promise that you're not going to be overwhelmed by just looking at the amount of data. This one has a lot. But what they're trying to do is give you this feeling that you've just either walked into the campus or you're coming back for your maybe 2nd or 3rd year and you're in the middle of this storm and you have to take the reins as the leader and address these problems. This one is attempting to assess Domain 1. The entry-level principal creates a positive, collaborative, and equitable culture that establishes and communicates high, consistent expectations for all stakeholders, addresses barriers to ensure achievement of campus initiatives and goals. So expect to see a big focus on the barriers and stay focused on the positive, collaborative, and equitable culture that really addresses, we're really focusing hard on student achievement in this, but all of the issues, we don't want to leave anybody out. This time the key terms are very different, so change management process is one of the important key terms this time from the Pastoral Handbook. I'm going to give you a second to look at that. So notice that this one's talking about processes, systems, structures, transition to a desired outcome. So you're going to be implementing something. You're going to be starting a new program, or you're going to try a new way of managing behavior, a school-wide approach to reading instruction. So you're trying to make people buy into this change, but as you can see, it's a lot more than that. You're going to be missing a lot of these things, the processes, the structures, the communication. There's going to be something there, and you're going to have to tell them what deliberate actions would you take to fix these things. The other key term this time is the continuous improvement process. So I've always called it plan, do, study, act. So where are we now? Where do we want to be? How will we get there? How will we know when we've arrived? And then it starts over again. Where are we now? So this is the cycle of improvement actions. It's all about sustaining over time and improving the quality, effectiveness, and efficiency of the school. So if there's an ongoing, multifaceted plan, you're looking at identification, planning, executing, assessing. All of these are parts of the plan. And if this sounds scary, it's going to be okay. Take a deep breath. It's just a little short answer. You're not going to be solving all the world's problems here on number 4. So here's the parts of the question that you're going to be asked to do. So you're going to be asked to pick one problem. So you're going to be given all of this data and you're going to pick one problem. And let me just tell you, we're going to want you to pick the problem that's associated with student achievement. Because remember, what is the name of this test? Principal as Instructional Leader, right? So we're not asking you to fix all of the things going on with all of the different stakeholders. We're really wanting you to focus everybody on the student achievement issue. You're going to be asked to describe a multi-step plan that's going to address this need. So remember, it's going to address the need, which is going to be a student instructional issue, but it's going to do so through how you manage the stakeholders. And then you're going to need to explain why the plan would be effective in creating a positive culture to achieve the school's mission. So if you've done a good job on 1 and 2, number 3 will pretty much write itself. So here's part 1. So first of all, I want to say, don't take the bait. Let's see if I can move me out of the way over here. They're going to give you all of these things, and it may be tempting when you say, what is the most pressing need? It may be tempting to say, to make the faculty happy, or to do what the superintendent said, or to get parents more involved. It's not about any of those. The most pressing need is going to be something to do with your students and an instructional issue. Even if they focused on behavior, the answer is the instructional issue. Okay? That's your insider tip. So here's the example from the Exemplar 4 that's currently in the prep manual. Although I did find another exemplar for number 4 in the prep manual by hitting print. So there's actually 2 in there, but I think this one's the better one. So when they asked this number 4 respondent person to give their answer, they said the instructional issue was the most pressing immediate need to address is reading instruction. Boom. Period. They didn't say, what about reading instruction? They didn't say it's to implement the reading instruction program, because in this scenario, they were trying to bring in a new phonics program. So really, the issue is not to get buy-in for the phonics program. The issue is to fix reading, right? To fix reading instruction and student outcomes in reading. So great job on that answer. And then they followed it by justifying it with data from the student, the samples of student data. They said, for example, the campus star data indicates that the school is well below the state average and the meets level for all grades and demographics. So on this particular example, they gave 2 documents, one that showed approaching and one that showed meets. I believe that's what was on this one. And then, so that's 2 pieces of evidence. And then the reading skills inventory was a 3rd piece of evidence. You could have taken a different approach and made 2 pieces of evidence out of the same one here and done a 3rd one, but they do like to see on this one, I think 2 pieces or 3 pieces of evidence. 3 would be even better. And then for number 2, when it says create the multi-step plan, please promise me that you're not going to create like a novel here. Nobody's got time for that. Nobody wants to read that or check it. You're just inviting heartache and trouble if you write a novel here. So your multi-step plan needs to have 3 steps. 3, period. 3 steps. And it basically needs to do something where you're talking about fixing the shared vision issue related to all the problems that you see in the data. But it's got to circle back to the shared vision around fixing what? Fixing the instructional issue. So the example they gave was a reading issue. You might expect to see a math issue. It could be a behavioral issue. It could be a college readiness issue. But in the big picture, you're going to work on creating a shared vision. You're going to also need a step about how will you support that. So the example that I was working from, we're trying to implement the new phonics program, and the old principal left a letter that said, and by the way, it starts in August, and now it's summer. Well, obviously, there's no shared vision because there's no buy-in, but there's been no PD. Like, these people are going to walk in August, and they're going to have this new program, and they've not been trained on it. It's not part of their unit plans. They don't know anything about how to use it or why to use it or how it fits with their data. So that's where your step 2, support and PD, comes in. And then step 3 should be something about monitoring the plan. Make sure the plan stays alive and gets implemented, because you don't want to just have some goals, have some listening, have some PD, and then nobody does anything. Like, all of these have to be action steps. So I've listed some examples of some of, I hate to say buzzwords, but some of the buzzwords that would fit great in each of these sections. So shared vision, you might be doing things like having listening sessions, and be specific. Listening sessions with whom? So does your data say your parents feel like they're not being included, or does it say that the teachers reported that they didn't feel included? Or maybe a needs assessment. Maybe nobody's done a needs assessment and they just feel like this has been imposed on them and they haven't had their opinion asked, and so a needs assessment. Stakeholder meetings are always good, and be specific about who you're having them with. The data says that parents, only 50% of the parents responded to the survey, or teachers are saying that they're meeting with their teams but not with the whole faculty or whatever. So be specific about why you're doing these things. Team building is important. That fits here. Communication is always important. Communication really fits in all three areas. And then, of course, parent engagement would help with the shared vision. So you're kind of resetting this thing you're about to roll out. And then the support and the PD, you're probably the most familiar with these kinds of things from your own classroom teaching experience. You may have been supported through coaching or professional development sessions. You may be a member of a professional learning community. It's okay to say PLCs. They'll know. The grader knows what a PLC is. But you can also spell it out. Root cause analysis might be part of the work. Data-driven instruction is always an easy one to drop in on the support because that's part of the ongoing part the principal does anyway. Relationship building fits well here with support and professional development. So in the first part, you're trying to get everybody on the same page. In the second part, we're learning the structures for working together and monitoring the work related to, again, the central issue that you've identified, which was reading or math instruction or whatever the instructional issue was. And then monitoring. Monitoring is the step where you're doing timelines or benchmarks, check-ins, resets, celebrations. Celebrations. Be sure to mention the data sources for each step. And then I put let me see if I can get rid of me here. I put the actual sample of the score, the sample response argument score 4 from the current example. This is when I'm recording this is June of 2022. So those examples are subject to change, but you're welcome to pause the video and read this. And then I've given the example of the number 3. And you can pause and read this. Typically, and in this case it's true, the difference between a 3 and the 4 is that the 4 really tells where they got the evidence in the documents, and the 3, you can tell they read the documents and they understood the evidence, but they didn't point out, like it says, assessment data indicates what assessment data? That the students in every grade level perform below the state average. Okay, there are some potential barriers such as teacher resistance and lack of effective communication. How do you know that? What are those barriers? Like, it's obvious that this person has done their work and they've identified everything correctly, so their answers are good. They could have been a 4. Okay, and then part 3 is explain why this plan works. So you're going to basically restate the prompt. The prompt says something about staying focused on the mission and creating culture. Let's see, I probably have it up here. Explain why this plan would be effective for creating a positive culture to achieve the school's mission. So you want to make sure that you say that in your answer. This plan is going to allow the principal to, and then put that in the answer, state the obvious. Make sure that at some point you circle back and you say that they're going to focus on student achievement. If you go back and read the exemplars for 3 and 4 rated scores above, you'll see that they've done that in both of those examples. And then finally, the reminders. Reminder that you're focusing on creating conditions that contribute to a positive school culture, identifying barriers that might exist to establishing and maintaining a positive school culture, and focusing on actions that can overcome such barriers. And I encourage you to take this one seriously and to put yourself in this seat, because this is about to get real. I mean, by the time you get to this point on this assessment, you are at number 4 of the constructed response section, which is the last item on this test. And if you've already passed your PASL, you're about to pass your 268. You're about to be the principal who's needing to listen to staff members and to parents and to take care of their students. Like, you're this person. You're about to be the next certified principal in the state of Texas. Is that not the best feeling? Okay, go get this done. Let me know when you pass. I'm proud of you. I can't wait to see you out there leading Texas's schools. We need you in the field, so go get this test passed.